Hi everybody, this is Brian Koo with another ROK video, talking today about the castle skin situation in Rise of Kingdoms, particularly the situation that free-to-play players, low spenders, and even medium spenders like myself find ourselves in. Right now I am in the home kingdom. I am wearing the Divine Abode castle skin. It's a good castle skin for the home kingdom. It gives 15% resource production, 10% cavalry defense, and minus 10% infantry defense. The resource production is nice in the home kingdom, and the cavalry defense is also nice when you are rallying barb forts. The thing is, when I go into KVK, my choices get really rough when it comes to castle skins. I am someone who, like many players, I run 2 cavalry marches, Justinian William and Nevsky Joan. I run 1 archer march, Zuge Herman, and 2 infantry marches, Guan Scipio and Gorgo Luci. A lot of players in this game run a 2-2-1-1 configuration, and if I were to use the Divine Abode castle skin with that configuration, I would gain 20% of positive stats on my cavalry marches, but I would lose 20% of infantry stats on my 2 infantry marches. That means my castle skin would give me 0% of stats, 0 benefit, if I ran this castle skin in KVK. So what do I run instead of Divine Abode when I am fighting? Well, I actually go back to Magpie Bridge. Magpie Bridge gives me 10% cavalry health to the positive, and I only lose 5% of archer stats because I only run that 1 archer march. The thing about Magpie Bridge is that I got this castle skin in 2019. I've had this castle skin for 5 years at this point, and it's a little bit frustrating to be going back to a castle skin that I got 5 years ago. Now, one thing that I could potentially do, and something that many players do, is they run Twilight Falls. They run the Twilight Falls castle skin when they're fighting. Now, I don't want to bore you with all the math on this, but let's just say that if you are running 5 skill damage marches, 5 marches that do a lot of skill damage, this is going to give you about 37% of stats to the positive. However, if you are running 2 infantry marches, which many people do, you're also getting a 20% debuff on that exchange, and so you're only getting 17% of stats to the positive. And that's if you're running 5 skill damage marches, which pretty much no one does at this point in the game. Basically, everyone is running Luci, since he's the best open field commander in the game, and Luci does not do any skill damage. Luci does smite damage, which scales off of normal attack damage. So if you're running Luci, Twilight Falls does get worse. At best, you're getting maybe 34% of stats to the positive. You're losing 20% of stats to the negative from the infantry debuff. So you're only getting about 14% of stats on this march. For me personally, I run Gorgo Luci. That's a march that has no skill damage at all. So I'm only getting 30% of stats to the positive. I'm running 2 infantry marches, so I'm getting 20% of stats to the negative. I'm only getting 10% of stats if I were to buy Twilight Falls. Now, is this an issue? Is it an issue that we're getting such little benefit from stats these days? I wouldn't say it's an imbalance to the game, but it is certainly frustrating to be just not getting any real benefit from castle skins. And the one imbalance that is in existence now is that the recent Zenith of Power skins, they just keep getting stronger and stronger. The most recent Zenith skin, which is called On Wings of Sailcloth, better known as the boat, this gives 12% troop defense to all troop types, all marches of all troop types, and it does debuff by 10% cavalry attack. So if you're running, for example, 2 infantry marches, 2 archer marches, and 1 cavalry march, you're going to be getting 60% of stats to the positive and only losing 10% on the downside. So you're going to be getting 50% of stats from this castle skin. The other recent Zenith of Power skins give very similar stats. They give 12% of attack. Again, this is going to give you anywhere between 40 to 50% of stats to the positive on these castle skins. That is a huge, huge difference from what the rest of us are getting. The Zenith winners are getting 40 to 50% of stats, and the rest of us are getting 5 to 10% of stats. And the issue with this whole situation is that I'm behaving very logically as a player. It is smart to run multiple troop types. It is smart to have a really diverse mix of troop types. First of all, the strongest commanders in the game come from all the different troop types. Nevsky Joan is an incredibly strong cavalry march. It makes sense for all players to run Nevsky Joan, but it also makes sense for all players to run Zug Herman, and it makes a lot of sense for players to run commanders like Lucci and commanders like Scipio. And you're just giving up too much if you just focus on 1 or 2 troop types. Another reason to run multiple troop types is the equipment situation. Everyone needs to have a lot of blueprints at this point, because not only are you building equipment, but you are also upgrading the iconic levels of equipment, and you need blueprints to do all of that. Right now, I'm working on my 2nd infantry set of gear. I already have 1 very good infantry set that's full legendary. I'm working on my 2nd set now. You can see that I just recently built the Hope Cloak, and the Hope Cloak was one of those items where it's a blueprint that's kind of easy to get. It exists outside of the set pieces of equipment. You can get these blueprints in multiple ways. You can also get the Eternal Night blueprint on the legs for infantry. And, you know, by building a 2nd infantry march and using a 2nd infantry march, it allows me to build legendary equipment faster because the blueprints are easier to get when you are building legendary items from multiple troop types. So I am behaving rationally with the choices I'm making about my commanders and my marches, but the castle skins are just really letting me down as far as what is possible for me to do. Now, what I would suggest Lilith do is maybe in the anniversary event next year, they could give us an actual upgrade to the castle skins that most of us are using. Do something like a 3% troop defense castle skin and put no fighting debuff on the skin. Maybe make it like, I don't know, minus 10% gathering, or some unrelated debuff. Make it so that we get 3% troop defense or troop attack on every march. That will give us 15% of stats to the positive. It's not going to come close to the 40 to 50% that Zenith of Power players have, but it will at least get us a little bit closer to them, and it will allow us to feel good about our castle skins. It will allow us to feel like we have the latest and greatest castle skin, rather than rocking the Magpie Bridge, which I literally got in 2019. For me to make smart decisions in this game and end up in a place where I'm running Magpie Bridge when I fight in the open field, that just feels really weird, janky, and kind of disappointing to me as a longtime player in this game who has in fact spent quite a bit of money. I wish I had a better option for my castle skins than Magpie Bridge, or spending a ton of season coins to buy the Twilight Falls skin and maybe get up to 10% of stats on my castle skin. I would rather spend these season coins on the really nice items in the shop like gold heads and legendary chests, or I would like to spend these season coins on blueprints for accessories, because as I said before, everybody needs a lot of blueprints at this point. to go out of my way to get 5% more stats, it's probably not worth these season coins, quite frankly. So that's the situation. We are definitely living in a world where all of us are going to be very jealous of the people who have a boat. You know, I eat calves here. He's an infantry player. He runs at most one cavalry march. When he pulls his marches out of the city, he's definitely getting at least 50% of stats on his marches overall. I'm over here pulling my marches out and getting 5% of stats. He's getting 10x more of a bonus from his castle skin than I have. And, you know, it just doesn't feel that great. So I'm sorry to everybody out there if you haven't done the math on this stuff before, and now I've given you a reason to feel bad about the castle skin you're using. But, you know, if it gave you something to think about, or if you enjoyed hearing me whine about this, do throw a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you all on the flip side.
I love this boat. It's so cute.
It's my boat. You're not allowed to see it.
I like it.